Well, what's the old saying? Hope springs eternal, I think it is, and sometimes hope pays off, and today it's my turn for a payoff. Look what I have. Now, this doesn't look very exciting to you, I know, but this is incredibly exciting for me because this is what I have been waiting about a month for. Have instant gasket. Yeah, useful. Oh, I think I know what that is. That's a camera. But this is what we really wanted. Soleil genuine parts. And in here we have ta-da! 2 brand new impellers for my engine. So the mechanic's been down and he's taken away one of the impellers. He's actually taken it away because he took out the water pump to make sure that's working correctly, and even that wasn't easy. One of the bolts for the water pump was actually obscured by the engine mount, so we had to take off an engine mount, jack up the engine, even just to get the water pump off. So yeah, I've always said engines are not my real thing, and I think this has proved it. I think this is going to be my biggest mistake of buying this boat, having a Soleil engine in it. Sorry to the people at Soleil, but yeah, they are really difficult to work on. I know that the newer Soleil engines, they've actually got a workaround on these things now, so probably the newer ones are better. Just excuse the noise behind me. This harbour is home to the ferry to Koh Lipe, which is a Thai island. Okay, they're gone, so things should be a little bit quieter for a bit. With the impeller problem and the worries of the engine, not an awful lot more has been achieved this week. Obviously, there are a couple of little things which I'll go through with you just in a moment. But I thought it was time to stop and take stock. I'm no expert on buying sailboats by any means, but I can give some ideas from my own experience of the last couple of months. You know, I see lots of people online, on Facebook sometimes, on these sites where they have cheap or free sailboats, and they're saying, oh, I want to have a very cheap sailboat to live aboard and things like that. I've got $5,000 available or £5,000 available, and I just want to give a little bit of insight into what it's actually like to do this. So there's all sorts of advice available online, on YouTube, like channels like this perhaps, where they can give you good advice and tell you what it's like and how much it's going to cost you to buy a sailboat, what you should do and what you shouldn't do. There's so much advice it gets confusing. But I just want to give you a little bit of insight from my experiences here. Obviously, I bought a cheap sailboat. I knew it was a cheap sailboat. I knew there were problems when I bought it. Not only did I know there were problems when I bought it, I knew there was quite a lot that needed doing over and above what was actually advertised when I first saw it. And so when I bought it, I had a fund available to do a refit on it, or not a complete refit, but to get it into saleable condition, let's say. And also, when I first looked at it, I realised there were more things wrong with it than were actually advertised. So I actually cut the price down very considerably to take into account all those things. So really and truly, I'm quite happy with what I did. I'm quite happy with what I got. I'm quite happy with the way it's gone. But I think there are things that came along that probably I wasn't expecting, things that surprised me a little bit, and the things that surprised me are not the big things. You always think, you know, you're going to re-rig a sailboat, it's going to cost you a lot of money. Yeah, it does. But it's not the big things that cost the money. It's not the major things. You think it's going to be the actual rigging that costs you money, and it does, but then there's a whole range of other things that come along which you think are not really that expensive, but they turn out to be probably the more expensive bits. Let me just interrupt the video for just a moment to try and remember what I always forget early on in these videos. I'm not very good at this yet. Please remember to subscribe. I would really love you to subscribe. It would do me a huge favour if you do. The more subscribers I get, obviously the better YouTube treat me and the more people that they try and get this video out to. If you're already subscribed, please leave a like. If you're not subscribed and you are subscribing, also leave a like. Once again, it's one of those things that YouTube seems to like a lot. And please share it with anybody that you might think might be interested in it. And anyway, back to the video. Let's have a look at just one little example of this to start with. So here's something that you haven't seen yet, something that's very, very new to me. We've got a set of dinghy davits on the back, which I'm really pleased with. Obviously, you know, when we look at the boat, when we go to the foredeck up here, yeah, it's not big, and to put a dinghy on there is going to be very inconvenient. I was going to put up with it to start with, but then somebody came up with these davits second hand, and I thought, yeah, why not? So let's talk about price. The davits actually came off another boat which the rigging company had been working on. They put bigger davits on for them, and so these were available, sitting in their yard doing nothing. They wanted to get rid of them. They wanted just a little bit of money for them. So the actual davits themselves were just £100, or about $120, I suppose that might be, something like that. So really cheap. Sounds like a great idea, doesn't it? But then they needed extending, so we needed welding, and we needed stainless steel welding. Then they needed fixing points, so once again more welding, and once again not terribly expensive around here, a reasonable price. But then what do we need? Well, here we go. We've got the boat opposite, and they've got working davits on theirs as well, and you can see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks, and they're triple blocks, or double blocks at the top, triple blocks at the bottom, and the line to haul up the dinghy. And this is where the money comes. So if you're thinking of buying a sailboat, yeah, there's lots of things that you can get cheap, you can get second hand, but then you have to finish things off. Now for mine, just those 4 blocks are going to be in the region of £400 or $550, I think that is, approximately. So this is what I'm saying, it's not actually buying the major things that cost the money, it's the ancillary things that you don't expect are going to cost a lot of money that actually cost all the money. Okay, and the next thing is winches. As you know, when I first bought the boat, I mean, I made an episode about the winches, which was quite some time ago now. It seems a long way. Anyway, I made an episode about the winches, and at that time we managed to get all the winches working. On the mast we had all single speed winches, or 2 single speed winches just like this one, and it's not a high mast, it's not a big main sheet, so to me that was going to be enough. And then we tried to get somebody up the mast to do some work, and a single speed winch just doesn't do it. So at some point you're going to be the one going up that mast, and you're going to want to feel safe doing it, and as I say, the single speed winch just was not. So we've changed. We now have a double speed self-tailing winch on the main sheet side. Another second-hand one, definitely not new, I couldn't afford new, but another £250. Now I've already covered this in another video, I think it was the rigging one, and when I bought the boat it had a furling system on it, a very old furling system, but well, it seemed to work. But when we actually came to re-rig it, we couldn't get the foils off the main forestay, and also the drain holes have been blocked for a lot of years, so it was just falling apart. So there we go. I bought a boat with a furling system, and immediately had to trash it and buy another one. $1,000. Now, to continue talking about the furling system, one problem that the rigging company were concerned about, and they had seen on many boats, I don't quite understand entirely what it was all about, but it's the way that the halyard is actually tightened down. And so their suggestion was I needed a jammer on here. So we have, you can just about see it in here, we have put on a jammer. Now, I don't profess to know everything of what this is about, but what they were saying is, unless that halyard is very well secured, the furling system can actually damage the forestay. They said they've seen it many times where the forestay starts to become untwisted and damages the furling system and the forestay. Their suggestion for that was I needed that jammer on there, and that is a much more successful way of doing it. So in order to make sure that the forestay and the furling system lasts a reasonable length of time, yeah, I had one of those put on. Another £250 or $300. So, as well as holding my dinghy, my davits are now, or very soon, going to be holding my solar panel. So why are we changing that? Well, we currently have some solar panels up here. They're getting quite old. I mean, this one is not old, but it's underpowered. Now, ever since I bought the boat, I've been running it on solar power. Obviously, I'm setting this boat up to be more of a cruising boat, to live a bit off grid from time to time, maybe for longer periods of time, and so as I say, I've run it completely on solar while I've been here to see how it performs. Up until the point when we got the sails on, it was doing okay. Now we've got the sails on, I can see that the shadow from the sails are going to negatively affect it quite badly. The solar panels are quite old and quite small capacity. They don't really give me the power that I'm going to need. And although the batteries work quite well to start with, they work quite well for about a month, they are showing definite signs of degrading now. In fact, they're probably not taking much charge at all now, or not holding much charge anyway. Once the sun goes down, I start losing power, and all I'm doing is praying for the sun to come up in the morning so that I can have some power again, especially here where you need cooling. You need fans running overnight. You can't sleep without them. It is absolutely sweltering. So it's quite uncomfortable at the moment. I have got batteries on order. I've got the solar panel on order. I'm hoping that by the end of this week we will have it all installed. Not only that, the solar charger was not what you would call new. It was very old, and not really doing what it's supposed to do, I don't think. So we're upgrading the whole solar system, something which, you know, I'm talking here about things that cost you extra money. This isn't really costing me extra money. I did expect to do it. I didn't expect to do it quite so soon. So yeah, once again, if you're on a limited budget and you're thinking of buying a livable boat, you need to have some sort of backup, because these things just happen. As I say, everything was running quite smoothly for about a month, and then all of a sudden one night I just had no power. And we tried to swap things around, and we've fiddled around with things, and we've improved it just slightly, just enough so I can have one fan running on me overnight. But if you haven't got the money to be able to do it and redo it completely, then yeah, it's a very uncomfortable life, believe me. But the point I'm trying to make here, and the point I'm trying to get across to people is, and I don't want them to think I'm saying, oh, look at me, I've done all this and you can't. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is there are things that are going to come up, and they are more expensive than you think. It's the little things that cost all the money, as I say. You budget for the big things. I budgeted for the big things. I also had a contingency which I knew was going to get used, but I didn't know how it was going to get used. And all these things are coming out of that contingency, and they're quite a surprise to me. As I say, I mean, the davits themselves, when I put those on, I thought, well, that's lovely. £100 davits, well, who can argue with that? But no, actually, when it comes down to it, when they are actually functional, we're going to be talking about £1,000 davits, or I don't know how much that is in dollars. I think it'll be about $1,300, $1,400 probably. And so no, they're no longer cheap. And so my message to anyone that's thinking of buying a sailboat like this, an old one that needs a bit of restoration, needs a bit of work, whatever, is look at the small things as well. This is where all the money's going. As I say, I have a budget. Effectively, when I bought the boat, I looked at that money and thought, well, that's got already. I had a lot left over because of the way I bought it, and I was thinking, oh wow, I've done really well here, but gradually that's eroded, and I'm back to where I expected to be in the first place. Well, that's it for another week, and remember, none of this is there to try and put anyone off doing what they want to do. I want everybody to live their dreams. I'm trying to do that, and I hope you will too. But it's just about letting you know the unexpected things that come along when you do buy these boats. So thanks very much for watching, and remember, please remember to subscribe. I really need the subscribers, as I've said so many times before. Leave a like, share with somebody, and I'll see you next week, when hopefully we'll be ready to leave this marina. It's getting quite exciting now, and our first journey is going to be up to Phuket in Thailand. We'll be stopping off at a couple of islands on the way, and there are some quite interesting islands on the way. So don't miss out on that, and I will see you then.